Good afternoon and welcome to the Pittsburgh Land Bank for Friday, November 3rd, 2023. Our first order of business is roll call.
Thank you, Chairman. My name is Emily Kalchak. I'm the Assistant Manager of the Pittsburgh Land Bank, and I will be calling today's roll. Reverend Ricky Burgess.
Here.
Dr. Jamil Bey.
Here.
Councilman Daniel Lavelle. Councilman Bobby Wilson.
Here.
Director Karen Breen.
Here.
Director Steve Mazza.
Here.
And Director Wanda Wilson.
Here.
We have a quorum at today's meeting. Back to you.
And next order of business is public comment. Please use the raise hand function in the bottom of the menu if you wish to speak during public comment. As a reminder, public comment is taken at the beginning and a second time at the end of the meeting. Please keep this in mind if you wish to make a public comment at the conclusion of the meeting. To begin, please state your name, neighborhood, and/or organization affiliation. You'll be given 3 minutes in which to speak. I do need to also remind you that board members generally do not respond to public comment during the meeting, but Land Bank staff are happy to collect information and contact information and/or address all your comments and questions after the meeting. You can also contact us at staff@pghlandbank.org or 412-255-6566. Okay, Sally, if you would call in individual speakers, please.
All right. Thank you, Chair. This is Sally Stadelman, manager of the Pittsburgh Land Bank. Today we have 7 registered speakers. So I'm going to call them out in order that they registered, starting with Kwame Kinzel with the Bloomfield Garfield Corporation. All right, Kwame. Oh, you know what? And I actually don't see. Okay, we're going to keep moving down here. Next, I have is it Miss Arthur Vania Arthur?
Hi, this is Vanya. I'm also sharing the phone with Kwame Kensel. I declined to speak at the public comment right now. I'll save my comments until the end.
I too would like to save my comment for the end as well. This is Kwame Kensel speaking.
Oh, okay, great. All right, thank you. All right, next we have Tom Mulholland with the Allegheny Land Trust.
Hello.
Hi, Tom.
Hello. This is Tom. This is Tom Mulholland with the Allegheny Land Trust. I'm here to comment on the agenda items regarding the acquisition and sale of the following properties. First is Hillcrest Green at Hillcrest and Rosetta Street in Garfield. The second is Kincaid Street Community Garden in Garfield. The third is Old Allegheny Community Gardens on Arch Street in the Central North Side. I'll be using my time today to share an overview of our model and to explain what Allegheny Land Trust and our partners are trying to accomplish through these acquisitions. Allegheny Land Trust is a 501c3 nationally accredited land conservation nonprofit that has protected thousands of acres of green space across Allegheny County since 1993. In recent years, Allegheny Land Trust has made it a strategic focus to benefit current and future generations of Pittsburghers by offering our conservation land trust model as a tool belt for tackling urban climate resiliency challenges. Cared for green spaces help address some of our region's most pressing issues. For example, they balance city heat island effects, they reduce the load on cities' water management system by allowing for rainwater infiltration, and they maintain and improve hyperlocal air and water quality. Community gardens specifically provide opportunities to gather, and they make healthy food available in places where those options might otherwise not be available. The community garden projects that we protect are vetted by the Three Rivers Agricultural Land Initiative Steering Committee, which is made up of staff from our organization as well as Crow Pittsburgh, in addition to grassroots community garden leaders. Through this program, garden groups are ensured permanent use of the land so that they can be making long-term investments without fear of losing access in the future. Grow Pittsburgh supports their sustainability through mentorship and resources, and Allegheny Land Trust commits to managing the land and stewarding it through the ups and downs of community capacity to ensure that it is always providing benefits to the neighborhood. Two of the properties that we are currently requesting are managed under this Three Rivers program. The first is Kincaid Street Community Garden in Garfield. It's been managed as a community garden since 2012. The second one is Old Allegheny Community Gardens in the Central North Side, which has been managed as a community garden for 40 years and is an important fixture in that community. The third property, located on Hillcrest in Garfield, relates to the Hillcrest Green. It's a community green space on the former Hillcrest Urban Farm. Last month, this board approved the acquisition and sale of 2 other parcels on this property for long-term protection by ALT. We are partnered with Bloomfield Garfield Corporation to ensure that this site will be open for public use as a place for passive recreation and enjoyment of nature, gardening, and as an active outdoor classroom, uses that are in keeping with larger community goals. We hope that you will support us in the protection of these important environmental assets and these important neighborhood spaces to benefit these communities today and for generations to come. Thanks again for your time and consideration. That's all.
Thank you, Tom. All right, next on our list, we have Taylor Williams with Rising Tide Partners. Taylor, the floor is yours.
Hello, good afternoon. I am the Acquisition and Conservatorship Manager for Rising Tide Partners. I will be speaking in regards to 201 Glen Calda, 205 Glen Calda, in 0 West North Avenue. These 3 properties we would like to have considered into the land bank because we have a vision for these properties. Our goal for Rising Tide Partners is to prevent displacement and to restore communities. So we do this by still creating affordable housing, making sure people are able to stay in their communities and they're not outsourced. So by doing this, they'll be able to be a part of our development of these properties and to move them to stabilization and also to get families into these properties. That is.
Thanks, Taylor. All right, next I have Randy Burns with the Old Allegheny Community Garden. Randy, whenever you're ready.
Can you hear me?
Sure can.
Okay, my name is Randy Burns. I am a garden coordinator for the Old Allegheny Community Gardens located in the Mexican War Streets neighborhood. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm here to support the sale of our city-owned plots to the Allegheny Land Trust. Our community has gardened on this site for the past 40 years. Most of the original gardeners were Black women who migrated from the South to the north side here. The garden was a way for them to carry on their farming and gardening traditions and to provide food for the families. So even though the culture and the fabric of our community has changed, the garden remains an integral part of our lives here. For some of our gardeners, it's a hobby, but for others, they really rely on the ability to grow economical food. The garden space is a much cherished part of our community. Not only will you find fruits and vegetables growing, but an assortment of flowers and flowering shrubs, which change with the seasons. The garden is a respite that is visited every day by our Mexican War Street neighbors and many of the visitors to our local attractions here. It is frequented by dog walkers and those who just want to enjoy walking through a green space. Sometimes you will even find local artists painting in the garden. We literally have hundreds of visitors from local community events. You will often find parents and tutors walking children through the gardens, helping them to identify different plants and teaching them how different vegetables grow. The real estate market in our Mexican War Streets neighborhood is quite attractive to developers. So therefore, becoming part of the Allegheny Trust would guarantee that our gardens would be forever protected. Being part of the land trust will also help us with our insurance expense, which would allow us to keep the garden dues affordable. Given the history of our garden and how it remains an integral part of our neighborhood, it would be absolutely heartbreaking to our gardeners and to our community at large to lose this space. And that's why I'm asking the Pittsburgh Land Bank today to sell the properties to the Allegheny Land Trust. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Randy. Next up, we have Kimberly Bracken. Kimberly, whenever you're ready.
Can you hear me?
Sure can.
Okay, great. Let me just pull up my comment. My name is Kimberly Bracken. I live in the Friendship neighborhood, but lived in the Northside neighborhood for 13 years, and I run the orchard program at Tree Pittsburgh. I'd like to speak to my relationship with both the old Allegheny Community Gardens as well as Kincaid Street Community Garden. In the early 2000s, I moved to the Central North Side. Within my first year, I joined the old Allegheny Community Gardens as I was renting an apartment and had no green space of my own. I didn't know much about gardening, but my garden neighbors were kind in sharing their knowledge, suggestions, and experiences. I cherished my time there, became close with the other gardeners, and made friends with neighbors as they passed by, connecting me to the community in a deeper way that made it feel like home. I gardened there for 6 years until I had my own backyard garden. During those years, the opportunity to explore gardening sparked a passion in me that became my career. I ended up writing grants for designing and building the gardens at the Children's Museum of Pittsburgh, as well as a large quarter-acre community garden on the north side called Food City. The old Allegheny Gardens was a yearly field trip for the youth and teen programs I ran, and the young people always commented on how much they enjoyed this time. I continued to live near the garden for the next 10 years and regularly spent time in the old Allegheny Community Gardens. It remains one of my favorite spaces in the city. Currently, I manage Tree Pittsburgh's Giving Grove Orchard program and continue to work with community gardeners all over the county. I feel very strongly that without my experience learning in the old Allegheny Community Gardens, I would not have the career I do today, where I can donate edible plants that increase food security in some of the most vulnerable neighborhoods. I would also like to voice my support of Kincaid Street Community Garden. I live in Friendship near the garden and have volunteered there. I follow their events and work days, and they are active in making themselves an accessible and welcoming community resource, passionate about empowering their neighbors. I believe this will continue to develop as a beautiful, edible space where neighbors can connect. Community gardens do more than just grow food, increase habitat for wildlife and pollinators, reduce stormwater runoff, and beautify an area. They cultivate relationships between neighbors, act as a gathering space, and offer a sense of safety and belonging. I strongly believe it benefits Pittsburgh as a whole to support and protect these invaluable community gardens. Thank you.
Thank you, Kimberly. Next on our registered speaker list, this is our final registered speaker, is Ms. Matthews with the Brashear Association. Whenever you're, let's make sure, yes, whenever you're ready. Oh,
hi.
Hey, good morning.
How are you?
Good.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to just share a little bit. I did not prepare official comments, but I will give some context to the 8 Grape Street. Right now, that lot sits right behind our current building, which is situated along Brownsville Road. We are in the Brashear Care Center, where we currently have programs for seniors, for youth programs, and we address in a social services hub, we address food insecurity and other housing, other social services needs. So this particular, right now, it is a vacant lot. And what we have envisioned is a creative and analytic play space with several different elements. One is a mural calming traffic calming mural that will be along connecting both of the current space with this lot. And then we own the lot next to it, so it's important to note that. But what we envision there is having a deck tree house where children, it's more like an outdoor outdoor classroom. And then having some activities where they have lawn games, which would be Sudoku, Mancala, chess, life size, of course. We also have a rainwater collection sculptures planned and raised beds for food and herb planting. We've planned a solar panel pavilion and stage and for amphitheaters with amphitheater seating and that separate the upper and lower lawn. This provides a place for seniors, for youth, for all of the community. And we have done, we had support from RK Mellon to do a feasibility study, which we just finished in August. And we understand that this is not just a park, it is a creative and analytic play space. So we really wanted to focus on this solar aspect of being able to charge 30 cell phones and tell people about the technology of solar technology. And be able to put it in their hands, have something that's tangible. So this is a very important project, and we really spent a lot of time engaging the community around what they wanted to see in the space. And it's ADA accessible, planned to be ADA accessible as well. And so we're really excited about this because it's more than a playground. It is a creative and analytic play space. So I thank you for your time today.
Thank you. So that exhausts the list of registered speakers. I'm just going to pause for a moment. If we have anyone else, any other attendees that would like to give public comment, please raise your hand. Okay, I see no further raised hands. So Chairman, I will turn it back to you.
Thank you very much. Our next thing is my report. I need a motion to approve the October 2023 board meeting minutes.
So moved. Second.
Any conversation? No conversation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. That takes us to our second thing. I need a motion to accept the October 2023 financials and approval of the monthly expenditures.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Any conversation? No conversation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. All right. And so we have some action items, and we will start with authorization.
All right, so today we have a few properties that the board saw on last month's agenda. Recall this was one of the first times that we had approved several parcels at a meeting. So with these 8 parcels that you'll see here listed on our next slide. So after reviewing the minutes, we had noticed that some of the full motions were not read into the record. So simply to out of an abundance of caution, we just want to run through and have the board reapprove these motions. So we're going to have Emily read the resolution into the record, and then we can move into the vote. So we'll go slide by slide here.
Thank you, Sally. Our first resolution is resolution number 42, authorizing the acquisition of block 50G, lots 49 and 129 along Rosetta and Hillcrest Street in the 10th ward of the city of Pittsburgh from the Urban Redevelopment Authority to the Pittsburgh Land Bank for conveyance to the Allegheny Land Trust.
We're going to do one at a time. We're going to do all 4.
We're going to do one at a time, Chair.
Need a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Next item.
Next item is resolution number 43, authorizing the acquisition of block 45H, lot 264, and block 46A, lots 310 and 323 along Crispin and Trimble Street in the 26th ward of the city of Pittsburgh from the Urban Redevelopment Authority to the Pittsburgh Land Bank for conveyance to the Allegheny Land Trust.
Need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Any conversation? If none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Next piece of property.
Next resolution is number 44, authorizing the acquisition of block 9M, lot 171 along Ledley Street in the 3rd ward of the city of Pittsburgh from the Urban Redevelopment Authority to the Pittsburgh Land Bank for a conveyance to the Amani Christian Community Development Corporation.
Need a motion to accept.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Any conversation? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Next piece.
Our final reauthorization is resolution number 45, authorizing the acquisition of block 9M, lots 273 and 274 along Bedford Avenue in the 3rd ward of the city of Pittsburgh from the Urban Redevelopment Authority to the Pittsburgh Land Bank for conveyance to an individual.
Need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. All right. All right, now that takes us to the acquisition of city properties by Pittsburgh Land Bank for conveyance to end users. And I think I have 14 actions.
Yes, that is correct. 13, I think 13 projects today. We combined with 3 on Adelaide. And just briefly, the slide before you is a reminder of once for these URA properties, because there is no quiet title process, we go right into the objection period once they are approved by the board. So all of these properties, there's a sign located on each one. We've also got them listed on the website. We have not received any objections for any of the sales approved last month, but the period has not yet completely expired. Okay, and we can move into those city sales.
Thank you, Sally. Our first resolution is number 53, authorizing the acquisition of block 50G, lots 44, 46, 53, 55, 112, and 128 along Rosetta and Hillcrest Street in the 10th Ward from the city of Pittsburgh to the Pittsburgh Land Bank for conveyance to the Allegheny Land Trust.
Need a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Next.
Our next resolution is number 54, authorizing the acquisition of block 23K, lots 298, 299, and 300 along Arch Street in the 22nd Ward from the city of Pittsburgh to the Pittsburgh Land Bank for conveyance to the Allegheny Land Trust.
Need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Next.
Our next resolution, number 55, authorizing the acquisition of block 50M, lot 167, also known as 5409 Kincaid Street in the 11th Ward from the city of Pittsburgh to the Pittsburgh Land Bank for conveyance to the Allegheny Land Trust.
Need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Next property.
Our next acquisition is resolution number 56, authorizing the acquisition of block 50K, lot 257 along Dearborn Street in the 10th Ward from the city of Pittsburgh to the Pittsburgh Land Bank for conveyance to the adjacent owner occupant, Anna Darling.
Need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Next.
Our next resolution, number 57, authorizing the acquisition of block 14R, lots 230 and 238 in the 30th Ward from the city of Pittsburgh to the Pittsburgh Land Bank for conveyance to the Brashear Association.
Need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Need a second.
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Next property, please.
Our next resolution, resolution number 58, authorizing the acquisition of block 23L, lot 101, also known as 20 West North Avenue in the 22nd Ward from the city of Pittsburgh to the Pittsburgh Land Bank for conveyance to Rising Tide Partners.
Need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposers, nay. Next property, please.
Oh, and just very briefly, I wanted to mention for the 20 West North. So this is to be conveyed to Rising Tide Partners. They are working in partnership with Truck Development and the Buell Foundation and are working to purchase the Light of Life Rescue Mission. So this property, which has been owned by the city since the 1980s, would allow them to potentially build a 40-unit affordable housing complex there. And I also wanted to pause if Councilman Wilson, I know he's supportive of this project, if he had any comments as well.
Not at this time, just fully supportive, so thanks.
Great, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sally. Our next resolution is number 59, authorizing the acquisition of block 15H, lot 291, also known as 244 East Warrenton Avenue in the 18th Ward from the city of Pittsburgh to the Pittsburgh Land Bank for conveyance to the Pittsburgh Housing Development Corporation.
Need a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Next item, please.
Our next item is resolution number 60, authorizing the acquisition of block 10C, lot 26, also known as 2526 Bedford Avenue in the 5th Ward, from the city of Pittsburgh to the Pittsburgh Land Bank for conveyance to the Pittsburgh Housing Development Corporation.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Next item, please.
Next item, resolution number 61, authorizing the acquisition of block 15R, lot 230, also known as 844 Gearing, in the 18th Ward from the city of Pittsburgh to the Pittsburgh Land Bank for conveyance to the Pittsburgh Housing Development Corporation.
Need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Need a second.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Next property, please.
Resolution number 62, authorizing the acquisition of block 15R, lot 281, also known as 814 Delmont, in the 18th Ward from the city of Pittsburgh to the Pittsburgh Land Bank for conveyance to the Pittsburgh Housing Development Corporation.
Need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. It's approved. Next item.
Next item, resolution number 63, authorizing the acquisition of 2 properties, block 27B, lots 392 and 393, also known as 826 and 828 Shawnee, in the 5th Ward from the city of Pittsburgh to the Pittsburgh Land Bank for conveyance to the Pittsburgh Housing Development Corporation.
Need a motion to approve.
So moved.
So moved.
Need a second.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Thank you very much.
Next item, resolution number 64, authorizing the acquisition of 3 properties, block 26P, lots 156, 157, and 164 on Adelaide Street in the 5th Ward from the city of Pittsburgh to the Pittsburgh Land Bank for conveyance to the Pittsburgh Housing Development Corporation.
Need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Need a second.
Second.
All those in
Second.
favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Thank you. It's approved. Next.
Our last resolution for today is resolution number 65, authorizing the acquisition of block 56F, lots 174 and 176 along Glen Calda Street in the 15th Ward from the city of Pittsburgh to the Pittsburgh Land Bank for conveyance to Rising Tide Partners.
Need a motion.
So moved. Second.
This is a motion to approve. Need a second. You got to have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposers, nay. It is approved. That takes us now to, I believe, legislative updates.
Yes, and briefly, Chair, I just wanted to review this overall timeline of how these properties will move through this system. So thank you very much to our board members for those affirmative recommendations today. We expect you to see many more properties coming from the Pittsburgh Housing Development Corporation. They are a sister affiliate of the URA and have rehabbed over 300 single-family homes, 95% of which have been sold to 80% AMI or below buyers. So tried and true process, and they also work right here in the building with us. So we're really looking forward to working closely with them and implementing some pilot stabilizations on these properties. So just to frame where we are in the process here. So prior to the board voting to approve any properties, Land Bank staff submit a concurrence memo or a request for approval to the Department of City Planning and the Finance Department. They review all of the parcels that we're requesting out of the city's inventory and give us approval or issue concurrence for those parcels. So we've received all of those. For the properties you've seen today on the agenda, we've just approved those acquisition and sales. So the next step in the process is the Land Bank is now going to City Council for approval of those transfers. The city council legislative process itself is 3 weeks plus an additional week for a signature from the mayor. So we expect a couple of weeks to write that legislation and submit it. So, look out for that on an upcoming city council agenda. All council members were informed before the meeting today of projects and parcels in their district that were to be on our agenda. And then I've also contacted the chair of the Educational, Intergovernmental and Educational Affairs Committee, Councilmember Gross, to inform her as well of these items on our agenda and their pending appearance before City Council. Once that's approved, the city simply needs to issue a quitclaim deed to the Pittsburgh Land Bank. So we're estimating that to take about 6 weeks. We've got some big holidays in this timeline as well. So we're hoping to see these properties arrive in our inventory at the end of January. And then we estimate it will take about 6 to 9 months for the land bank to quiet title on those parcels. Stabilization on anything that is a structure will begin immediately once they arrive in our inventory. And then we will sell to our end users once we have that quiet title in hand. I'll pause for questions, and I can also move into our legislative updates if there are no questions.
All right, move on.
Okay. So first up, we have upcoming the next important milestone for the Pittsburgh Land Bank is renegotiating the 3 taxing bodies agreement so that the Pittsburgh Land Bank can begin to utilize the sheriff sale. I think we're seeing more and more as we're really getting into processing these properties, how important it is that we can access the expedited quiet title powers, which are also much more effective and efficient when we're using the sheriff sale process. This process also gives us access to a priority bid, which gives us the ability to protect key properties in hotter real estate markets so that they can be preserved for affordable housing projects. So we'll expect it to hear more about the 3 taxing bodies in the weeks and months to come. And I think this is especially pressing with the deadline to begin submitting to the city's treasurer sale will be coming up before the end of the year as well. So we would really, really like to prioritize gaining access to the sheriff's sale in 2024.
Great.
Yes, and second, I wanted to touch on, there was a really important U.S. Supreme Court ruling recently called Tyler versus Hennepin County. Myself and our assistant manager, Emily Kochak, traveled to Cleveland last month to attend the Center for Community Progress's National Land Bank Network Summit, where we learned a lot, met some staff from other land banks, just a one-day summit. I think the most important session that we attended was the effects of this Supreme Court ruling and how it affects our ability to utilize that priority bid and how property prices are set via those public auction processes. So stay tuned for more on that front as well. I'm happy to answer any questions regarding either of those, but that concludes the end of the that concludes legislative updates.
Thank you very much. That takes us to our second round of public comment. There's a couple of people who wanted to talk at the end of the meeting. This is your time. You'll be given 3 minutes, the same. Start off with your name and or neighborhood, and then, let's go.
All right, let me call on Vanya Arthur.
Hi, thank you. Can you hear me okay? Hi, thank you. My name is Vanya Arthur. I am representing the Kincaid Street Community Garden as well as Central Garfield Corporation for Hillcrest Green. Just thank you for all the information. I'm very excited about the opportunity to continue engaging with more community partners, with our neighbors, to turn this into like active green space and realizing just the importance of green space in our communities, especially in Garfield, especially in a neighborhood that's becoming very heavily gentrified. It's even more important now than it was then to have spaces where individuals can feel safe, individuals are able to learn and grow and try something in an area that they may not necessarily would have had the opportunity to. Yes, I'm very excited for what the future of green space looks like, especially as it fully moves forward with ALT. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. And Vanya, do you have Kwame there with you? So we can restart the 3 minutes if Kwame Kindle, if you'd like to make comment as well.
Hey, hello there. This is Kwame Kinsel. I am also the co-lead with the Kincaid Street Community Garden. I am the Special Programs Manager with the Bloomfield Garfield Corporation, and I have been working closely with the Hillcrest Green Project for the past 3 years. I am extremely grateful that we have this much support and folks are actually really interested in the amount of green space work that we have done in the East Side, as well as just Allegheny County-wide. I would love to connect with the other gardens that are here available, and thank you for this opportunity to solidify the work that we have done in the Garfield East Side area and to let us continue. Like, I can't believe we did it. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your comments. I don't see any other raised hands on the attendees list. I think that concludes our second round of public comment. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Is there anything else from members? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposers, nay. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.